You ready? Yeah.
Recording in progress.
Good evening. I'd like to call the April 1st Town Board meeting to order. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we go into the agenda tonight, I'd just like to just say something about a former town employee. Helene Wiener passed away Friday night. She was a town clerk in this town, or deputy town clerk in this town for many, many, many years. She was born and raised in this town, was married in this town, had all her children in this town, and she will be sorely missed for those who know her. I would also like to mention that former legislator Mike Brooks also passed away recently. For those who know him, he was a very good legislator. He had the temperament for the job, and he was the type of person who managed to work with everyone left, right, and center. I'd like everyone to rise for a moment of silence. Thank you. I don't have a supervisor's report this week, so we can go ahead and move on to any correspondence. Paula, do we have any?
No, we do not.
Nope. All right, so now this will be an excellent opportunity for the public to come speak. We have...
I have James Lagarde.
Am I in the right place?
You are.
Thank you. No, I meant in relation to that.
I know.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. Towns sometimes find that they have a piece of property that the town has no plans to use, and a developer presents the town with a proposal whereby the town will provide the developer with property at such a reduced price and sometimes with tax credits. If this is the case with the former prison annex, I ask the following questions. Number one, has the developer presented a plan showing what he plans to build that is described as a workforce housing? Number two, are they single-family homes or duplexes? Number three, are the workforce homes to be sold or rented? And what are the projected sales and rental prices? Number four, recognizing there is a shortage of low-income housing in the town and the county, are these homes available to local residents, or will anyone outside the area be able to buy or rent them? The proposed, number five, the proposed project is next to the town well and already has town water and sewer. Will this project be allowed to receive town water and sewer or get in line like the rest of the developers? Number six, depending on what one defines workforce housing, would low-cost apartments better suit the needs of the people that would be classified as workforce? Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, would anybody who is in the room like to sign up to say anything? Anybody online?
Except for those that are presenting later. If you're presenting, we'll wait. But if it's members of the public that would like to speak on pretty much any matter or anything specific to the agenda, everyone's welcome to come speak. Do you have anyone online?
Nope. Here.
All right, if that's the case, we will go ahead and move on to our agenda items for tonight. Number one, motion to approve employment of Carolyn Crespo as an account clerk typist with a salary of $41,648.26 and a start date of 4/14/25.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Number two, motion to approve the employment of Heather Crum as an account clerk with a salary of $38,646 and a start date of 3/31/25.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Number 3, motion to approve Family Medical Leave Act application for Wesley Castillo for 6 weeks starting approximately 4/12/25.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, motion passes. Nothing serious, he's going on paternity leave, so congratulations to him. Number 4, this has to do with putting out bids for washed stone and various other material that's required to be used by our Department of Public Works, for various road repairs and grading and things of that sort. So we're required to put it out to bid. Number 4, resolution number 38 of 2025, authorizing the town clerk to solicit competitive bids for New York State DOT first wash stone non-delivered contract period, January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025, and delivered contract period, January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025, with a bid due date of 4/22/25 at 2 p.m.
Motion.
I have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, motion passes. Number 5, same as before, just a different type of stone. Resolution number 39 of 2025, authorizing the town clerk to solicit competitive bids for 1A low abrasion, non-Wappinger crushed limestone. Non-delivered contract period is 1/1/25 through 12/31/25, and delivered contract period is also 1/1/25 to 12/31/25, with a bid due date of 4/22/25.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I also have an add-on motion for tonight. When we had the public hearing on, regarding the zoning changes on March 4th, we decided to leave the public portion open for an additional 30 days for written comments. When the 30 days runs out, we're not gonna meet next week to be able to either open it or close it. So we're gonna look to, I hope, with the board's approval, we're gonna look to extend it out to at least April 22nd, which is a meeting night that we're gonna have. So number 6, motion to extend zoning amendments, written public hearing, comment period to remain open until 4/22/25.
Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, now we move on to our discussion items for tonight. Number 1, Hurleyville Performing Arts Center yearly festivities, presented by Christina Antizo and Maria Hernandez.
So we're here again just to seek approval for a few live entertainment applications for our 2025 festival season. So primarily we're asking to use our primary venues, which would be the HPAC parking lot, the Tingo Cafe lawn, and then we would also need the portion of Railroad Avenue from the traffic light to the municipal parking lot to close that off, to ensure like setup and breakdown. And then of course the dates for the festivals would be May 17th for a spring festival, June 21st for Pride Festival, July 19th for Music Festival, Culture Festival on August 23rd, and Harvest Festival on September 27th. And I think it's also notable to mention that each festival showcases local artisans, food vendors, family-friendly activities, and live entertainment, and it's a good opportunity for local merchants to make significant business, and of course, everybody in the community and visitors to come out, engage, and have a good time. Additionally, we are requesting approval to host an Easter egg hunt. It's coming up April 12th, after our Easter bunny breakfast. So that would be free to the community, the Easter egg hunt. It would be along that same Railroad Avenue section from the light to the municipal parking lot.
It'll actually go through, a lot of the businesses in Hurleyville have signed up to hide Easter eggs in their businesses as well to make it a town-wide thing. So we'd like the permission to hide the eggs on HPAC property, some on the rail trail, and then they'll go through town, through the businesses.
Just wondering
Quite
about
the-
that road.
Quite the event calendar. I think it's gonna be,
Thank you. So the part that, I do want to make note, the part of the railroad road that we would like to, it was approved last year, we had it closed last year. There is still access to railroad from just going from the other side of the municipal parking lot. But that does ensure safety for the children walking from both municipal parking lots through the streets there, so.
Makes sense to me.
Does it affect the county road
Yeah,
at
that's what
all?
we're wondering, the county road, does that affect the county road?
No, it's just, pretty much it's just the portion in front of the train station. It's a very, very small space that's blocked off.
including the municipal lot by the rail trail over there?
So it's the furthest municipal lot on Railroad, so you have the train station right there, then the municipal park, so there's an entrance on both sides. So it's just from where the train station starts to the post office is where we would close down.
So are you guys gonna get a hold of Brendan, or do you need me to do that?
I can reach out to him again, no problem. Or you can tell him, give me a call.
I mean, I can do that, I can set it up,
Yeah.
but if you guys are gonna do it, I just gotta know how to work that, just because I don't want that to fall through the cracks, because he's gonna need to have people over there.
Yes, so I know that only one time they sent somebody, and that was for our Pride Festival for some extra, security, but yes, if you can have him give me a call, and I can go over any details with him that he would need if they need to send somebody.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like it's gonna be an excellent, spring, summer,
We hope.
do we have any questions from the board?
This is great.
Thank
Is
you.
Nathan dressing up as the Easter Bunny? I'm just wondering.
Yes,
I
we do
would,
have an
you
Easter
know.
bunny will be in town.
I get out.
We will have an Easter bunny, it's not me, but,
Okay. Just wondering.
thank you. Thank you.
All right. Next up on the agenda,
Hold on, please.
Yeah, usually we do that.
Yes, so you probably should have like a motion of support for that, just so there's some board of honor over the.
yeah, we're not gonna meet before
Will
12.
not
so-
be before 12,
All
right?
right, so we have a
And then-
motion.
I made a motion. Second, he made a second.
What's,
Jeff and Sean?
To
What's-
approve
what's the
whatever.
motion?
To approve
To
the HVAC events and the town supported, and road closure.
only April 12th or throughout the entire?
The entire thing, yeah, you should have to keep on. Yeah, that's scheduled, yeah. And, yeah, 4/12, 5/17, 20.
How about,
6/20.
how about the HPAC schedule for 2025?
Perfect.
Okay, so we have a motion,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
All right, now we can move on to our next discussion item. This is a continued conversation regarding a proposed skate park to be built in the town of Fallsburg. Do we have the presenters here tonight? Or is this just gonna be us?
Well, it's supposed to be us, but, none of us can read this, am I right? Okay, so,
Oh, I didn't even know this was the skate park.
right,
Yeah.
so rather than have this, can we table this discussion until we can, let me put it in a way that.
Magnifying glass?
Maybe blow it up for us. Let's put it in a chart, let me put it in a chart format, so this way we and the public can like, actually, you know, read it. If you guys are okay.
I
with that
second the
part of that.
motion.
Right, let's table that for now, but I wanna just.
Do you wanna have that available by foil so that people can look at it?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, if they wanna read this by,
Yeah, they'll-
God bless them.
But I mean, your chart.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine,
Okay.
like, it has to be
I mean-
public.
I mean,
That
they
chart
don't
has to
even
be
have to
public.
foil it, if you give it to me, I can.
I'll just give it to you,
Yeah.
this way it's out there.
Available.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cause,
no problem.
yeah. It's
Just to clarify the record, it's way too small, it's not that it's in code.
Yes, that would be it.
Yes, that's way too small. Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion to table and.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, everyone's in favor? Let's move on to number 3.
Yeah, wait, before we, Jim, can I borrow your sheet that you had the questions? because you read it too quickly and I didn't write it all down. I wanna make sure. Thank you, sir.
All right, moving on to number 3 for tonight, workforce housing. We have a developer here, Penrose, I believe. They're gonna be presenting. You folks wanna come on up? Here.
There you go, see?
Perfect.
Like you know.
Look, if you look at them, how the owl will look just right.
Okay.
Don't look at the owl.
Not look at the owl.
You can read this, right?
All right, good evening, guys. My name is Sheldon Roberts. I've been in the real estate business for about 20-some odd years, between 20-25 years. Mostly, I've been in the management side of things, but more recently, I started to do some development. I reside in Rockland County, New York, but I do have business up here in this area. One in Orange County, and I have a real estate office in the village of Monticello on St. John Street. So I am kind of looking to locate up here, but one of the things that I've noticed, and what many have noticed, is the housing situation up here, and also just the interest up here and the need to expand on that. There's been definitely developments going on, but a lot of them need to have us more involved in that aspect. So I met Dr. Sean Mulhardy in Monticello, and he introduced me to this old prison site that we're here to talk about today. Just want to be clear that this is, nothing's etched in stone right now. We're just seeing if we could possibly do something with your guys' blessing. We are not interested in doing anything that you guys don't all feel good about, agree on, and makes everybody in the community feel good. We're not trying to come here and just some out-of-towners making a mess. That's not our intentions at all. So through that, I just wanted to be able to find someone, a group, that would be able to actually get the job done. There's a lot of developers and stuff like that that we could have brought up here, but just because of the proximity, the cost of doing construction and everything like that, they're very far and few between right now that are willing to take the trip up here and hopefully help out with the housing situation. But I did find Penrose, and they are willing to take a look and see if there's some possibilities. And like I said, the most important thing is your guys' blessing, because without it, it's not gonna happen. And like I said, we're not interested in doing things and going against the community or anything like that, which we can anyway, because it's your guys' site. So I'm gonna introduce Will, who is from Penrose, and he'll give you a little background on the company and what his thoughts are.
Great, thank you so much, Sheldon. Thank you everybody for having me here tonight. Happy to run through a quick introduction of our company, talk a little bit about what we do, and then talk the specifics of the site. And I wanted to thank you for your questions. There's a little bit of details on just the thoughts of this project towards the back of the presentation. I wrote down what I could, and I'll try to answer it. I'm happy to talk further afterwards. Thank you. So thanks again. My name is Will Develop. I'm a senior developer at Penrose. We're based in Brooklyn, but focus on all of New York State. And I'm traveling throughout the state, including up to Ulster County. I'll talk about a project there that we're doing, and just maybe some things that we can bring from there, some success we've had to this site. Just looking through the presentation quickly, Penrose is an organization for about 15 years. We've headquartered in Philadelphia, but have really expanded in recent years to cover a good portion of the United States. We focus on housing of all types, affordable housing, workforce housing, market rate housing, all sorts of housing that fits with the communities that we work in. There's a good bit on here on what we focus on. The thing I like to mention is in the middle of the slide, skilled and enthusiastic collaborators. So we do not have a construction company in-house. That allows us to travel. It allows us to get outside of maybe an hour from our office, where if we had a large construction company, all of our workers would really need to be able to get to the job. We'd have a large workforce that's based in an area. So that gives us the ability to really go further, and to go to communities like Fallsburg that I live about an hour and 45 minutes away from, and work with the local communities to find the right fit for a site like this that has the opportunity to produce some real housing to address some of the needs that we can find here in the community. So I like to mention that collaborative part. It's an important part of how I view my role, how I think Penrose works well. We come into communities, talk about the issues that are there, and help create a solution that's the right fit for that town, based on the people we speak to. And I'll talk a little bit about how we've done that on some of our projects. Just to keep on flipping through it, onto the enterprise overview. We've developed about 27,000 units in our history to date. That's about 350 different communities throughout the United States. And that includes, an important one for me here is the other one in green in the middle, 100 plus partners. That's 100 different counties, towns, municipalities, cities that we've successfully partnered with to create something that we think is a real difference maker in their community. I'm happy to introduce you to some of our partners here in New York, other states. If you guys ever want to tour one of our properties and see some of the things that we've succeeded in the past, I'd be happy to show you that and see if we can bring some of those ideas and successes here at Fallsburg. Keep on going into the kind of the United States map here. This, as I mentioned, we're a growing organization based in Philadelphia as our headquarters, but it's a hub and spoke model. So I work in New York. I focus solely on New York State. My experience, my expertise is in the real estate and financing options here in New York. And so that's what I bring. No one's coming up from Philadelphia. You're working with a New York-based team here. Just a little bit further detail on that on the next page, including, we're a pretty, I think, well-rounded team of development professionals, but also we have a capital markets team in-house, which helps make sure we get the best financing resources available to us, asset management, making sure our property is operating well, and then after the development team is done, the property works well in the long term, the people are there if an issue comes up. And property management, we have an in-house property management team to make sure we manage all of our properties on our own. And that kind of, with that, we've built, I think, a pretty healthy pipeline of work here in New York State. Over the last 7 years, we've developed about 1,700 apartments in the state and have a good portfolio in front of us, about 2,000 units to be built over the next few years. Taking a look at just some of our projects, just to get a feel for things we've done. Golden Hill is a project that I remember pitching about 4 years ago when it was just an initial idea of the redevelopment of a former jail site, this one in Ulster County. And I'm happy to say that the project has come to life from this little colored page and we'll be opening the doors in a couple of months by the end of this year. So really excited. It's a great project in that it took the vision of Ulster County and the city of Kingston when they put out a public RFP looking to redevelop this site, which is was a little bit isolated for the rest of the community, maybe similar to the site we're talking about now, and bring people there. They wanted not just housing, but other uses. So we decided to bring a daycare to the site in addition to that. They wanted senior housing and family housing, an intergenerational approach where low-income seniors who are on fixed income can live there. We've brought a large section of workforce housing, people that are supposed to be based, municipal workers working for the county or the city, but also just people who weren't people moving up from New York City but needed a steady, affordable income and a place to stay. So we're really proud about this vision that we built, and it's part of the success of the project. Taking some of the vision of the city of Kingston and the county of Ulster and bringing that outwards, we were able to build a really strong stakeholder base and basis of support, and that enabled us to win a lot of the large financing awards shown at the bottom, which is what a project like this, what it takes to build something of this scale, which is 164 apartments, including a $10 million award from the state, another $15 million award from OTDA, which is another state agency, of $1.5 million from the Federal Home Loan Bank of New York, 1.6 million from DEC to build a solar system to make the whole property net zero, and $1 million from the federal government as well. So I think this is a good example of what we could do here, not only because it's a former jail site, but because we took the vision of the local stakeholders there and what they wanted to see, and helped build upon that, and that success, allowed us to raise the capital that was needed to make this real. So hopefully something I think we can maybe replicate here. Haverstraw, this project is something we're bringing to life by the end of this year. We hope to close on construction financing in December. It's another mixed income project. We have affordable housing, we have workforce housing, and true market rate housing, unrestricted. It's in the village of Haverstraw, on the Hudson River, about an hour and a half north of the city. And another project where we've brought our expertise in state financing resources to make this project from really something that might be unfeasible to feasible by bringing in those unique resources that are needed to get a deal like this across the finish line. Happy to talk a little bit more about this if you guys have any questions. Turning now to Fallsburg, we just put here quickly some of the AMIs and that I've mentioned before. Affordable housing has a lot of acronyms, workforce housing does as well, but we hope to help define that in a better way, in that the low-income tiers, maybe at that 30% AMI, we're looking at a household for a family of 4, it's maybe around $30,000 a year. So if this site was the best fit for maybe a low-income senior development, that might be the population we're looking at. Or maybe affordable at the 50% AMI tier in the middle, for a family of 4, that's about $50,000 a year. If that's something that maybe was the right fit for this community, that'd be rents maybe $800 range. Or more maybe it's a workforce development approach that seems like the best fit here. That'd be about $84,000 for a family of 4, and the rent shown there accordingly. Just a few options, we really can play with different options here and talk about the different financing resources that are available in each one of those tranches to make sure it's the right fit for Fallsburg. And finally, turning to the site itself, we did just a really preliminary massing of what this could look like. In general, we think conceptually it could be about 60 apartments, townhouses, 2, maybe 3 stories, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, maybe some larger 4 bedrooms if we want to bring larger families. Everybody would have their own front door and back door, backyard, with a loop road connecting in and out of the site. This is extremely preliminary. If we were to get your blessing, we'd dig a little bit deeper, learn a little bit more about the site, put together a few financing scenarios for you, show you a couple different options of what a senior development would look like, what a family development, what market rate unrestricted would look like. Maybe some things intertwined or intermixed, and which ones are the most financially feasible, and see which is the best fit for this community. And with that, I think I'll pause. I actually I want to answer some of your questions, sir. So rent to own, we look at this as a rental development. Rents, I would refer back to the prior page to show you kind of the different rents for the different levels. If we were to pursue the affordable development, the lower end, workforce sort of in the middle, and market rate on the higher end there. Local residents. So there are federal fair housing laws that talk a little bit about, can you restrict the marketing of a community of an apartment complex to just people in the local area? And there's laws against restricting that. So you have to broadly market it so that you're not having just ensuring that only a limited set of people can apply. But that said, while we have abided by those laws in all of our communities in New York State and across the country, we found that when we lease up on a property in a certain community, the majority of the people come from that community, from that county, even when we're following those same laws. So I can talk a little bit about that success, maybe show some of the communities that we've leased up and the percentage that have come from that county and that city, if that'd be helpful. And lastly, water and sewer, we don't know. I appreciate your input on that. That's one of the things we would dig into, learn a little bit more. But absolutely be our intention to do the construction that's necessary to connect to both of those as needed to bring a community of this size online. And I'll pause there for any questions.
Just a quick question. So the income limit is based on the family for the listing price for 1 bedroom. is the intent, I mean, you can have more than one bedrooms, like 2 bedrooms as well? Or
Yeah,
is it only gonna be 1 bedrooms?
No, I think we're looking at 2 or 3 bedrooms here.
And does that change the income limits if we're looking at a family of 2?
If we did a family 2, it would reduce the income limit. Yep, these are family 4, so it's kind of in the middle. If we wanted to go larger, like 4 bedroom, it could be a family of 6 and it would go up.
I see, okay, so the income limit for family 4 and then the 1 bedroom may not always like match
No,
necessarily.
no, they're not.
The site is approximately 30 acres.
Yep.
Would you need all 30 acres to build these?
No.
How much do you need at a minimum?
Yeah, I think again, there's a lot of similarities between this site and the one in Kingston. That is also a 40-acre site, and they had an old jail there, so it was the top of the hill, Golden Hill. They developed about 3 acres of that at the top of the hill, and the rest of it just falls down a cliff essentially. So we just took what was previously developed, the place that was already level and grade, and built there. And we were able to fit 164 units. I think we could do something similar here, maybe of less density, but stay in kind of the existing area where the annex houses are already there, and not take the area of the woodlands. Plus, we don't want to knock down any trees probably, and the grades, once you get into that tree area, probably be much more expensive. So I think we'd stay where the clearing already is.
I see, right, because you take down trees, it's gonna cost more.
And the soils can get a little tricky once you get into areas that haven't been previously developed.
Out of 60 units, what is the mix? How many are gonna be workforce housing, how many are gonna be market rate, how many are gonna be senior? What's the mix that you have in mind?
In mind, right now, I think this would be a great workforce housing community. I think,
100% workforce housing?
Yep, 60–80% of A line, maybe we can go above that. I can show you what those rents would be like, what those income limits for the people who would be living there. Part of the benefit of, I think, this arrangement is we can show you different options of what that housing could look like and, get your reaction and then talk to you a little bit about the financial feasibility of each of those too, because that's a crucial component. But looking at it for the first time, I think this looks best as kind of a workforce housing development of larger bedroom sizes, 2 or 3 bedrooms, townhouses.
And would you be seeking to purchase the land, to be gifted the land, lease the land? What's the arrangement that you're looking at contractually?
Well, isn't it my understanding the annex land can't be sold?
Alright, so that's out,
Right,
can't
so
be
that's out, so
sold.
it can't be sold, so you're looking at only a lease option, like everything else is off the table, because of how we got the land.
So was it like a 5-year lease and you take control over the property after 5 years? Was it 20 years? How does that
I
work?
mean, I think it's too early to ask those questions, but Rick, if you were to do that, it would be a lease, that would tie into your rental properties and how that's managed and how that goes. But the town always has to maintain control of the property. So you can't go into a deal where you're giving up control of that property.
And would the town manage the property?
No, they just said they had their own management thing. We just manage if we are talking, whatever housing that we land on, whether it's workforce, low income, senior, whatever it is, we're just making sure that those numbers stay the way they are, intended, the way we intended.
So there's 2 pieces here. There's development, and then after the development's done, there's management. And Penrose is looking to do both of those things.
That's right, yep. And to back up what Sean said, we can talk to you about all of those options, but I think we're open to any of them. Whether it's a long-term ground lease where the town maintains control of the land and we lease it from them for over a long period of time, that's one option we've done. We did that recently in Buffalo. In Haverstraw, the project that I mentioned on the water, it was a large parcel owned by the village, and we're actually cutting it in half. We're taking a portion and the village is maintaining the other half and building that as a park along the water. So I think there's a couple different versions here that might be the right fit.
So the other municipal piece, or the one in Kingston, what was your arrangement with the municipality that owned it? You said you split it. Did you purchase it from them?
Both of them are purchases, yeah, and fair market value for both.
With regard to management, can the town set the rents, if you wanted to say like $600 for 1 bedroom And whatever it is, like, if, you know, and can we set parameters, like, you know, if someone can't pay their rent, you know, you can't evict for like a year and a half or something like that, something reasonable that protects the residents. You know, like, can, basically control, you know, does the town have control over the management piece? Even though day-to-day, housekeeping and maintenance would be under Penrose management,
Sure.
would the town be able to dictate those type of, situations?
The first part, almost definitely, right? So we can work with you to settle on like, what is the right mix here? And we can write an agreement that that is what we will build, and over the long term. The second part about evictions, I think we have to abide by like state law, that it's, because it's a privately owned community, we'll be responsible for making sure we pay our debts and our expenses, and then we keep the property in good working order. So that said, we're happy to have any of these conversations with you guys, and, you know, look at what state law is and make sure we feel it's adequate.
So, first of all, I think it's great that you guys are here because we have a very deep need for workforce housing in our community. I'm very concerned about the choice of this site for a lot of reasons. One, it seems very complicated with its municipally owned, but more than that, the Department of Corrections, when we took the site over, we were very limited with what we could do with the property. I'm not sure, I don't know, but I would suspect that this might not even be an allowed use because of the proximity to Woodburn, which is still an operating prison. So, and beyond that, we also had discussions, we actually have an architecture firm working on plans to put our highway department there.
Sure.
So I think I would love, first of all, we should look into what we're really allowed to do there. But more than that, I think it would, you know, if this site doesn't work, there's other sites in the town.
Great.
But
I'll wait to the site, so.
I have concerns about Department of Corrections and what they would allow there.
Sure. We've done, just so you know, we've done like long-term, large-scale rezonings. The Haverstraw site I mentioned was a factory, so we're remediating.
I'm not even talking about the
changes
zoning
in use.
concerns, I'm
I
talking
know, it's the actual
the state
correction.
allowing a housing development next to another prison that's in operation. I know when we took over that piece of land, they placed a lot of restrictions on what we could do as a town there, what uses we could, because of the proximity
Yeah.
to the other prison.
I actually spoke to New York State and the real estate division that had control of the property, and what they explained was if the town designated the housing as a town use or a town purpose, through that process, you know, that it would be allowed. As is now, it wouldn't be. But to your point, as long as we were, as a board, to say, you know what, this is of public interest, of town interest, we can go ahead and make that change. And they kind of encouraged it, because they said, you know, right at that moment, there's something called Millennium Grants, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's like a Millennium Grant, basically if you build mixed-use housing, so you have housing and then you have a daycare or certain community things, the state will give you money as long as they have money in their coffers. That real estate division will do that. I don't know if that's the right name. Is that the right name? Millennial Grants?
Momentum?
Momentum.
Yeah, that's from the Mid-Hudson Momentum.
That's it,
program.
thank you.
Sure.
I knew it was something within them.
So we actually have a grant application in for $6 million for water infrastructure with the Momentum Fund.
Sure.
And we were finalists on it, we still are finalists on it, and they were supposed to announce awardees in December, in January, in February.
Oh, yeah,
And
it's the state.
we're still
It's the
waiting.
state.
Yeah.
But to Councilman Steinhardt's question, I think it's really making that designation that yes, this is of town interest, of public use, and we can look at it that way. Or we can say, you know what, let's look at other properties, and we know we need to do this, let's look at other properties in the town and figure something else out. But at least having the conversation, the discussion is huge.
Out of curiosity, obtaining town land, would this be financially feasible if you were to purchase 30 acres in another part of town? Or, you know, it makes a difference between happening and not happening if the town were to give you the land?
I mean, every deal is on the verge of feasible and infeasible, so we'll kind of help work on a case-by-case basis about what makes sense. going outright on a purchase of 30 acres probably is a little bit too far. This drop, taking down about 2 acres seems like a better fit and keep it in that feasible area. But it's on a case-by-case basis, it depends on the land, where it is, and we can walk you through that and actually look at multiple sites, it'd be helpful. Filter through there and we'll talk about which ones are the best fit for housing.
Like, in a sense, this would be the town actually making an investment in housing without having to do a heavy lift necessarily. If we were to approve the present site to, like, let's say 5 acres is a carve out for the interest of the public to do this, this is a way the town can support bringing workforce, senior or veteran, whatever we deem as terms of housing for folks here. And that's kind of how Kingston looked at it when they went through it. There's a gentleman named Dennis? Doyle, right, who was in charge of that project, and he really spearheaded a lot of the things that you're talking about right now. Master expert, the state even points to him, Darren from New York State, it's like, that's the guy you need to talk to really get the nooks and crannies of what's going on.
So if we were to move forward and allocate 5 acres of land for this project, would you still be looking to build 60 units on it?
We'd have to take a closer look and see what the right fit. Right now, I think my initial analysis, 60 units probably makes the most sense. But we can get back to you guys and show you what a couple different versions are. If that seems like too much, we can scale back. If it looks like maybe there's opportunity to do more, and we want to do more, we can look at that as well.
Any questions?
No.
Our Parks Director.
You know, you mentioned workforce. What constitutes in your projects, how do you know you have a person who's workforce versus anybody else?
Yeah. There is a definition, and it's all about the income of the household. Depending on the number of people in that household, if it's a young 2-family household, you're just getting started, there would be a lesser limit for that, but if it's a larger family, that family limit will be up here. And you can determine it's percent of the area median income, which I think I put in this deck here somewhere. Those came out today, and it looks like that for this county, it went up over $100,000 for the first time, which is actually a pretty significant milestone. And so it's a percentage of that, somewhere between 80% and usually 100%.
Do you have to use the county?
To access federal resources, which is one of the key resources to make sure this thing works, usually yes you do.
So,
not always.
So workforce could be anybody from a laborer to an electrician?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the stuff that we talked about with Mr. Doyle, who's the county planner in Ulster County, was making sure that he heard a lot of complaints from the Chamber of Commerce that the employers there were having to find people from outside of the county. Because like a lot of New York cityers came up and took down Airbnbs during COVID there. So he wanted to find a solution where we're delivering, in that case, about 80 units of workforce housing and trying to market that through the Chamber of Commerce to local businesses for their employees.
And that was one of the things that he really pushed hard on, was that they had to bring a workforce to help support what was happening in the Kingston area. So that was something that was a game changer for him.
I'm just curious,
Yeah.
On another note, you're on St. John Street. Did the old jail ever come into play in your thoughts?
We came in a little too late.
Yeah.
A little too late. When I discovered it was already gone.
Now, so this is like a third jail. I would think a jail would be a very difficult building, unless you're just knocking it down, to use for housing, because it's usually they're made masonry construction, and they're, so, right. So are you just getting these sites, taking the building down and starting from scratch?
Depends on the situation. The site in Kingston, the best piece of land on that parcel had the jail right smack in the middle of it. We had to get rid of it.
Okay.
So that one we knocked down.
Because we have another jail right down the road. That close. I mean, and the state owns it, we don't own it, but that might be a discussion to have
we're happy to look at literally any scenario with you and find one that seems the best fit. This one seems like the best thing is to carve out the piece that doesn't have to do.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
interesting.
Thank you very much for having me. Happy to answer any questions if they come up afterwards, so.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing interesting, proposal. All right, so that's it for our discussion items tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn, go into executive session for any reason.
We have a pending litigation executive session matter to discuss.
Yeah, all right, so entertain a motion to go into executive session for potential of pending litigation.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
We don't anticipate any more business after executive session. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and with that, we are adjourned.
Did I answer your question, sir?